Welcome back to another North Carolina Tar Heels football recruiting podcast here on TarHeelIllustrated.com. And if you're watching us on our YouTube channel, that is called Tar Heel Illustrated. You also might be catching us on Facebook. That's Tar Heel Illustrated. Trey Scott's got a lot of fun stuff going on that page. And if you're seeing us just on Twitter and you only get our stuff through Twitter, that's at Heel Illustrated. But go on over to our site, TarHeelIllustrated.com, for just $8.33 a month. You could be an insider too. And you guys, you're only accessing us on those other mediums. That's just a part of what we do. So much of what we do with our inside information, with our analysis, and a lot of the questions and answers that we have in dialogue with our subscribers is only on premium. It's just $8.33 a month, same price it was when I took over this site August 1st, 2014. We have not raised the price a penny. So come on over and become a member of our community. And you can interact with Deana King all the time there, like so many others do. By the way, I am THI publisher Andrew Jones. She is our director of football recruiting, Miss Deana King. And we are here to discuss North Carolina's amazingly successful football recruiting month of June. The Tar Heels picked up 8 kids in the month. Deana and I did a podcast a month ago where she said, brace yourself. This is going to be an action-packed month. The Tar Heels are going to land a bunch of kids. And I even put you on the spot about 2.5 weeks ago, Deana. And I said, okay, how many? They'd already had, I think, 4 at that point. I said, how many more do they get? You think they get 2, maybe 3, maybe 4? And you said, I think they could get 4, maybe 5, Andrew. And they got 4 more. They finished with 8 kids in the class and got a lot of needs. And they started to get those wide receivers. So, Deana, your thoughts on all 8 kids, and I'll go through the list here in just a moment, but just the month that Carolina had on the recruiting trail.
Phew, I'll tell you, it was a June to remember, you know. I mean, having 4 official visit weekends and camps and Showtime camp, and Andrew going off on book business and leaving me to man the ship for a few days, and all chaos breaking out with all these commitments, and Jacob and Brandon getting practice on their commitment pod. So yeah, it's been a very, very eventful June. I think it might now Coach Brown's been here 5 years, and I'd have to go back and research really those 5 years, but I think maybe this is the biggest month he's had recruiting wise, numbers wise, with 8. I can't remember them getting 8 commits in a month before, because, you know, like he always said, he always, when he was at Texas, wanted to get his groups done really early. Well, he got 8 this month, and you know, you mentioned they got their first wide receiver commit in Keenan Jackson. And so this class is coming together really strong at the end. You know, Timothy Lawson was the first one this month, and Keenan Jackson is the last one. When Lawson committed, Carolina was ranked number 15 in Rivals rankings. And each commitment has gone up and down, but right now they're currently number 12 due to some other schools getting some commitments. But when Keenan Jackson committed last week, they were like number 10. So they're in that 10 to 15 range right now. And that little piece that I do after each commitment, the average ranking per kid, right before Lawson committed, it was a 5.593. And that Coach Brown, you know, that was way lower than the past 2 or 3 classes that Carolina had. Let's admit that. But, you know, we told you about their new recruiting scheme and strategy and everything. But with Jackson and with some of the other higher ranked kids, some 5.8s, some 5.9s, some 5.7s, she raised it up to 5.640. And now they're in the mid 30s recruiting rankings. And, you know, a lot of people might like, 37. Well,
It's who they close with.
Yeah,
It's who they're going to close with could push them into the 5.7.
They're running. They're in the running for some more 4-stars that will be announcing in July, and this number could. I mean, I think if they could get it around 5.7, which is extremely makeable, it could. They could rise.
Yeah, absolutely.
But that's just number crunching that like fanatics like to look at. Of course, if Carolina is able to get 27 or 28 commitments, they think that this is a outstanding class, and they should, because they don't base their recruiting on what Rival says on 24/7. It's their own evaluation. So
yeah, and they have certain specific boxes that have to be checked now more than ever before, and we've articulated that many times. I'm going to read off all 8 real quickly, and then we'll talk about the narrative, which is a daily drop that we did about a month ago, 5 weeks ago. Mm-hmm. June 5th, Timothy Lawson, as you mentioned, 3-star tight end from Fort Myers, Florida. June 11th, Carlos Mitchell, 3-star athlete from Lake Wales, Florida. June 12th, Cruz Law, 3-star linebacker from Nashville, Tennessee. The next day, 3 straight days they had kids. I think I was actually in town when those guys did that. Mm-hmm. June 13th, Curtis Simpson, 3-star defensive end from Kings Mountain, which has produced a lot of guys lately. June 17th, Lucas Osada, very quietly, place kicker punter from Woodbury Forest in Virginia. He's a 2-star, but for a kicker to get ranked is pretty significant. June 21st, Ashton Woods, 4-star linebacker from Marietta, Georgia, nasty hitter. June 25th, Zion Ferguson, 4-star defensive back from Gainesville, Georgia, flipped from LSU to Carolina while on his official visit. And then you mentioned Keenan Jackson just last week, 3-star wide receiver from Matthews, North Carolina, 21 commits, number 12 ranking. And if you recall the daily drop you and I did right at the beginning of June or the end of May, the question was, can Carolina change the narrative about its class? And the narrative was mostly coming from fans because there was a lot of criticism, and you and I were trying to pull people from the ledge about this class repeatedly, daily, and on those message boards I was talking about constantly. And I even wrote a piece about Mac's recruiting philosophy and even quotes from him about how it changed, even though people thought they were striking out earlier. They were getting the kids that they wanted for the most part and the kinds of kids that they wanted. But I do believe, to answer that question, Deana, did they change the narrative about this class in the month of June? I think emphatically the answer is yes. Nobody is complaining about the class on our boards anymore. People are very excited, and perhaps the best is yet to come as they close this thing out.
Yeah. Fans, they look at rankings and ratings so much, and like you said, a lot of them was like, oh, 3-star U. We're not recruiting. This is fans talking. We're not recruiting the elite 5 stars and 4 stars and everything. Yes, they are. But those 5 and 4 stars have to fit Coach Brown and the staff's criteria. And, you can mention NIL and all this stuff.
Handout, other things too.
Yeah, it's just, and Coach Brown, ever since he's been there, has been stressing the 40-year decision. And he's done a great job, especially to these kids, that just recently committed, to tell them, hey, you come to University of North Carolina and you go 3 to 4 years, that's the kind of the average now. And if you're that good, you get drafted and go to the next level. But if you don't, you got a great education, you got a degree, and you got a network of, a family. You got the Carolina family that's there to help you in any way. They've made positions there on staff, or like Kevin Donnelly, who's there to help players and teach them, ways after, possibly after college, and get them accustomed to stuff. So, and the association with UNC, the brotherhood of the Carolina family, that's where your NIL is, so it's. I know a lot of fans probably don't want to hear that, but they see Alabama and Georgia and the Clemson, Ohio State's landing all these elite guys. Well, North Carolina is going by their own
Yeah, and I think something else too, and this is something I've been thinking about for a while, and based on conversations off the record, behind the scenes, if you will. What's really obvious about North Carolina, even right now in the last few years, there hadn't been great depth. There have been a lot of spots where there's not great depth. And when you bring in a class like this, when kids are a little bit more anchored to the bigger picture, that means they stay in the program and they get developed. And you've got a really good staff in place right now. You've got a lot of developers in place. And that's how you get depth. Guys that are there for a bigger purpose, but also there for the football purpose. And they get older in the program and they provide you depth as they get older. And some of them can become big time players. The two best players on defense were both low 3 stars when they signed, when they committed. Kamen Rucker, there was a lot of flack why were they taking a guy like that? They're getting all these other studs. Well, he and Cedric Gray are the two best players on defense. When you think of some of the guys on offense that have excelled, Elijah Green, probably their starting running back, he was a 3-star, should have been a 4. He was highly prolific in high school, but he was a 3. So they're looking at that. They want coachable kids that are anchored to be in there, and that provides depth. A 27, 28-man class right now, and they still get their star types, and they can still bring kids into the portal. Suddenly, you've got some depth in a few years, and you can withstand some attrition. That right now, the last 2 years, they haven't been able to afford that at linebacker. Even this year, they probably can't. So knock on wood, if they stay healthy, they'll be in okay shape. But you don't want to go into a season with the head coach constantly telling us in the media, well, I have to remind Cedric and Power to not get a targeting penalty because we got nobody behind you that's ready to step in. I think part of this class will allow them to have some of that depth so they can deal with in-game attrition moving forward in a couple of years.
Yeah, like this class, they got 3 linebackers. Evan Bennett, who was the first. He was the first one, and he's on social media a lot. He's really bulked up, and he's fast. And then you have Cruz Law and Ashton Woods, your big, nasty, vicious type hitters. So, I mean, it's what Coach Brown and the staff have decided this is the route they're going. And, when we look back and whenever the signing day is in December, how many they have, I think this group is a really good group and a needed group. You can't have, and I know everybody's like, well, Alabama, Georgia, that 5 and 4 stars, but you look at some.
North Carolina's not Alabama and Georgia.
Well, you look at that, and there's some low 3 stars that's on Alabama's roster and Georgia's roster and commit list. So you got to have a mixture and everything. So, but this group, what they had before the month of June, and then adding this has been on an upward trend, and it could even go a little more higher in July.
That's a good segue. Very quickly, let's look ahead to July. Very, very quickly. They're at 21 commits right now. At the end of July, you think they're sitting at about 26, 25?
They have real good shot of landing.
They need.
You're going to ask me. You're going to ask me for a number.
Well, no. Well, you nailed it last month. So
I think they got a shot at landing about five more.
Okay, and you have said on the record that you think they're going to take 4 receivers. Jackson's the first one. So you think they get 3 more this month?
Yeah, I think they're in great shape with Alex Taylor, 4-star from Grimsley, Jordan Shipp, who's a 4-star from Charlotte, and Javaris Green, a high 3-star out of Crest High School. So those 3 guys, 3 in-state guys. I know the people in state. They uh, were recruited Florida and Georgia. Well, I kept telling you just to hang in there. Some of these North Carolina in-state kids would be making their decisions and stuff. So all 3 of those guys are making decisions next month. Well, in July. So, I mean, and 2 of those are 4 stars.
Yeah.
Got a great chance of landing Tyshawn White out of Georgia, who plays on probably one of the best teams in the nation in Buford, who's just loaded with D1.
He's
talent.
announcing on the 4th too, right? Because we're recording this on the 2nd. We hopefully get this out on the 3rd.
He's hitting that. It should be a great day on the 4th. So, personally, me and you, we think July 4th announcements are not very cool because we have to be on a commitment watch.
I'm working all day anyway. I'm working on my book all day on the 4th, so it's not going to. Actually, I did promise my wife some stuff in the house I'll do. I'll help her with a few things. So
that, I mean,
otherwise, I'll be here and ready to roll whenever he's ready to roll, if it is indeed North Carolina.
I've posted on the board, several, Tyshawn White is supposed to announce July 4th. Jalen Thompson, he's supposed to announce Justin Terrell, Hodge Sanders, and then the receivers that there might be in Malcolm Ziegler.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's more kids that can join this class and can make the class even more bigger and make the fan base happy. Make the fan base happy. You see threads, and I just wonder, Coach Brown,
I think I said a few minutes ago, I think the narrative has definitely shifted on this class, but there's going to be.
I'm sure he's seen threads and message board posts and Twitter posts that.
No, Sally reads the boards. Sally's the one who reads the boards.
Has Coach Brown lost his recruiting touch? No, he's not. Look what he's doing.
Look, you've got the naysayers and you've got the people who overplay everything that are on the opposite end. So that's why you got to go on our boards for just $8.33 a month. You can weigh what those people are saying, but the voice of reason, Miss King, will pop in there every once in a while and add her perspective to these things. Anyway, good stuff, Deana. Big month for North Carolina. I've got a column I'm running either tonight, probably Monday. So by the time this video runs, this podcast runs, my column about the month of June will be out as well. For Deana King, I'm AJ. We appreciate y'all stopping by. Thanks.